Most Rust developers spend their entire time using cargo and almost never talk to the compiler itself, which I guess is fine in most cases because all you need to test your application, to build your application, and to run your application, cargo gives it to you. But underneath every cargo build is basically Rustc, the Rust compiler, and it comes with powerful commands that can explain errors, inspect your targets, and even show you how your code is transformed during compilation. Today, let's look into some Rustc commands that are super powerful. Some of them are also available through cargo, so you can also directly access to cargo just like you do cargo build, cargo run, cargo test. But we'll go through those which I find super useful with Rustc. You can use with cargo as well. And like learn more about Rust or be more familiar with the tooling that you have available to troubleshoot your issues or find out how Rust works basically. First of all, let's look at a command which I personally use all the time and it's super useful. And it's especially useful if you are new to Rust or you are an experienced seasoned Rust developer, but you always spend your time in the Jurassic world of lifetimes, cell, ref cell, those impel, traits, and all those things. So we have a code here, a pretty simple basic example of lifetime and stuff, and there's an error. And if you have been following this channel and you have watched all the videos on lifetime and stuff, should be popping on right top. If you haven't, you should know what is exactly going on here and what is the error about. Our focus is, let's run this first of all. So let's try to run this, and right here we get an error, and basically it's pretty straightforward. You see this all the time if you have been programming in Rust. Borrowed value does not live long enough, but there is an error as well, if you see. And every time you get an error in Rust, you should notice you get a code here. Or did you ever notice actually why we have a code with an error? Like, what's the need of this code? So this code helps you provide more about your error, more information, and how we can do that is, I think this command is also with cargo, but let's do it with Rustc. So Rustc explain and then this code. So E0 and 597. And there you go. You get beautiful write-up of the error, explain you exactly what should be happening in your code and why are you seeing this error. So here you go. As this says, this error occurs because the value was dropped while it was still borrowed. And it gives you a nice little example as well to understand, okay, what is going on. And then here it tells you that here y is dropped at the end of the inner scope, but it is borrowed by x, whatever. I mean, you can read all about this. And the best thing about this is it's not just noise, because let's say if you make some obvious mistakes like this, where we literally remove a part of the syntax, and now if I try to run this, it doesn't give any error code, and because it's straightforward, unclosed, delimiter and stuff. So I bring it back, rest of code remains as it is, but we have a problem here. And now if I run this, you can see we get error code, and if we try to explain this, there you go, you get again a beautiful looking explanation with what might be going wrong in your code, and here's how you should do it basically. Next up, we have a command which is very useful if you want to learn the internals of your program, understand, and maybe sometime you're optimizing for performance and stuff, and you actually care how Rust compiles your application and you want to actually see on each level. Now we won't talk through the levels or the complete compilation pipeline on this video because I've covered it, should be popping somewhere on right top. But let's say we have this code right here, and when Rust compiles your code, it goes through an intermediate representation which is called MIR, or mid-level intermediate representation. It's basically compiler's internal representation of your Rust program after parsing and type checking before lowering it down more towards the machine code. And let's say you want to understand how the representation exactly looks like. So we can literally get that exact state. Actually, we can know exact any of those stages like ASM, MIR, LLVM and all those things, but let's focus on MIR for now. And we can do that actually. So all we can do is we need this command which is Rustc emit, and we need MIR. So if we need ASM, we can say as ASM for this file which is min.rs, and we want to save it to min.mir. So we run this, and here you go, we have a man MIR or mir file in our project. Let's understand this. Look closely, this is mid-level intermediate representation of your Rust code. So right here in main.rs, you have an addition function and a main, barely 7 lines of code, which is 70 lines of code right here. And trust me, it might look overwhelming at first and might be like, why do I want to get in here? But if you really want to be Rust Pro, you need to understand and live with this file. And trust me, time to time, try to go through at least one of your file mir and understand what is exactly going on. Because right here, we just have an a plus b. So you would think, hey, it might be just an a plus b simple instruction for addition. But that's not the case. It is addition with overflow actually. It's basically a check that returns a result and an overflow flag. And followed by this, we have an explicit assert that panics if the flag is set. So this is exactly why integer overflow panics in debug builds. It's not a special, like magic or something that's happening. It's just here, right in your face. And you know what? The best part is once you spend some time with these files, you kind of learn about what's going underneath. And also then you get curious, hey, do I have any control over these files? So let's say I don't want add with overflow, though it's not recommended for your production applications, but if you just want to experiment, why not? Because Rust does provide us that control. So we have this command that we just learned, and now we can pass a flag here saying overflow checks off, and we put it in man1, let's say. Okay, we have a file which is man1, and now it turns out to be a simple add instead of what we had something here, add with overflow. So try these out, and these commands are super useful if you want to understand how compiler actually works. If you have ever worked on some low-level stuff in Rust, not just the web servers, but some low-level stuff or some platform-specific or architecture-specific stuff like desktop applications for Linux, Mac OS, and so on, you would have used or come across CFG attributes we have discussed previously on the channel as well, where you can write the code specific to an OS, to an architecture and vendor, and so on. But did you ever wonder what values are actually active for the platform you are compiling on right now? And there's a command for that actually. So what you can do is, all you need to do is Rustc print CFG, and it gives you all of this information. And as you can see, I'm on Apple, and basically all other features and stuff that you can use, architecture and so on. Now, every line is basically something you could get the code with CFG. So you can do like architecture, Indian, family, vendor, and so on. So we have covered the major ones, and some of these like explain, emit, I use it all the time, and trust me, super useful to understand what's going on. So try it out on your end, but here's an exhaustive list. Don't worry, I'll drop it in the description so you can directly copy from there and experiment on your end. And you know what, the best part is you don't need any extra installation or something specific for this. They all ship inside your Rustc itself. And most Rust developers go their entire careers without touching them, because Cargo quietly does everything for you. Next time something is confusing, try reaching past Cargo, build and try asking the compiler directly, use explain, use emit, go through your low-level code, understand what's going on, do such optimizations if required. And I'll catch you guys in another video with another interesting topic. Until then, bye-bye.